Support for the show comes from Vermont 83% to Rush Butter Sheets. You know that feeling when you bite into a croissant and it's so flaky, so buttery, so perfect? You wonder, how did they do that? Well, here's the secret Vermont 83% to Rush Butter Sheets. I love croissants. We don't mess around when it comes to butter. This stuff is rich, creamy, and perfectly flexible. Oh my God. Which means it rolls like a dream and bakes up with those beautifully crisp layers we all love. And because it comes in sheets, we get to spend less time wrestling with butter and more time making magic happen. Great croissants start with great butter, y'all. And for us, that means Vermont. Welcome to Love Stories, an inside look to the bakery world, chef's journeys, and the business behind great food. My name is Omar Perene, and I'm so happy to have you here. Ruchit, welcome, bro, to the pod.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Chef.
How's your day going?
Yeah, the day is going brilliant. We were just cranking up Valentine's prep in all of our restaurants.
I love how people ask chefs all the time, like, what are your plans for Valentine's? They probably think you're going out.
I wish, man, as a chef, I would. Valentine's is the worst day to go out in a restaurant.
For most of us, we have never been out for Valentine's Day, for Mother's Day, for Christmas, that kind of stuff. But for everybody that's listening to us, let me just tell you, Ruchit is a badass pastry chef, and I feel like this month is like the Indian month. For some reason, people are gonna think I just have Indian chef friends, but Ruchit's a corporate pastry chef for Burke Hospitality. He has a rich history in pastry, lots of expertise with chocolate, a little bit of maybe we'll talk about molecular gastronomy. You explain what that is for people. You were a former executive pastry chef at Musafir. Very, very cool stuff over there.
Thank you.
And we know you're a competitor on the Food Network Easter Baking Challenge. You're gonna tell us a little bit about that. And today, really, I'm interested to talk about what does it look like. What's the experience navigating large, multi-unit, multi-concept restaurant?
Well, definitely. It's been a roller coaster. With especially with this kind of a company. Yes, it's multi-unit, but at the same time, as you mentioned, it's multi-concept as well.
Right.
We're currently at 17 restaurants and counting, out of which we've got 15 concepts.
Cheers,
And
bro.
cheers. Thank you for having me.
How many concepts you said?
15 concepts. Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's a lot. And all of these concepts are totally different from each other. We've got a French brasserie, we've got steakhouses, we've got, you know, Asian concept, Pan Asian concept, and then we've got a couple of Italian restaurants, Southern Italian, Northern Italian, all that stuff. So, conceptualizing pastry menu has definitely been a challenge, but, I love it. And that obviously,
What are some of the like unique challenges of running a pastry program, or I guess several pastry programs within one? Because I can see what it kind of looks like to create a restaurant, it work, and then you turn it into 20 locations of the same thing. And I'm thinking about, okay, how do you scale production and that sort of thing? I understand,
right.
but like, what if you have 15 different concepts? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, so their main reason to hire me was to, help them in building a commissary kitchen.
Okay.
Yes, we have got 15 different concepts, but at the same time, being a pastry chef, you can still overlap a lot of your mise en place. You can still overlap a lot of production. Like, if you're making a pastry cream, you can use it in a couple of concepts and not just one.
Oh yeah, you can use pastry cream in every concept.
Exactly. So,
It's like red sauce for pastry.
yeah. So, things like that, if you're making a devil's food cake, might as well just have it as an ingredient in a couple of desserts and not just one. So I'm right now in a phase wherein, we've built a commissary kitchen. We are slowly moving our pastry program into the commissary kitchen. We'll still have pastry chefs in the restaurants, they're going to be assembling desserts um, and obviously putting some garnishes out there. But the main production is going to happen at the commissary layer.
And so I guess just like when you create one restaurant concept, you're gonna come up with what are the unique selling points to that
Right.
concept, right? Uh, but then at the same time, you're trying to make sure that sort of that backbone of all the concepts, there's some cross utilization
Exactly. Yeah.
for efficiency's sake,
Earlier it wasn't. And
right?
so,
There narrates.
uh,
Well, but
but
you have to prioritize creativity. I feel like at first, right? And it's really hard to be creative while you sort of value engineer things.
right. And especially Houston community know me as a creative pastry chef, because of the legacy I've had at Musafir and
Yeah, yeah, I know you're
So-
famous for tres leches, bread pudding,
Sure, yeah.
I peach cobbler, right?
Yeah. Well, now we've been doing bread pudding and fresh, but obviously I've been putting my own flair into it, so it has to
I'm
Yeah.
messing with you. I was talking about me because that's all I make.
Well, you're an amazing chef as well. Just
Oh, you're
really
sweet. You're sweet. Most pastry chefs aren't sweet, so you will be doing a disservice to the community right now.
I want to know which pastry chef is not sweet.
Kripa was bitter. I could tell you.
I hope Kripa you're listening.
I hope so. Yeah. Oh God, I love Kripa. She's so awesome. Okay, so tell me a little bit about how do you balance creativity, like you obviously we want to stay relevant, we want to be cool, we want to be connected to the seasonality and all this stuff, and how do you sort of work with that within the corporate structure? Because at the end of the day, when you're an independent restaurant, you can make a special today and roll it out tomorrow.
Yeah. Obviously, in a corporate structure, you have to be well planned. There are layers of approvals which needs to happen, starting from financial approvals to obviously own approvals from the ownership and senior management. So, like let's say we talk about Valentine's Day. So, everything was planned when we were in October.
In October,
Yes.
that's
So
a cool question. So November, December, January, February, so you're at least 4 months ahead.
yeah.
Products are developed, photos are taken,
Yep.
recipes are tested. That's cool. So if you don't know why you don't have a huge restaurant group, it's because probably you suck. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You just like it's a very different culture, right? Like improvising is no longer acceptable,
Exactly.
so to speak.
Yeah. And it's not just about corporate structure, even from our purveyor's point of view, a lot of things, we fly in from France, like, if the PCB creation is in France. So I buy a couple of, decors from them. So we need to give them a good amount of lead time, like a lot of my molds are being created by mold brothers. So, you
All
know,
those guys do awesome stuff.
yeah.
Mold Bros, if you're listening to this, sponsor this pod, will you?
But yeah, they're amazing, and they help me a lot with some custom molds and, obviously, stuff like that. So I need to give them good amount of time. So that's the reason. Like, we've already conceptualized our Mother's Day. Mother's Day is going to happen in May, but we've already done a recipe testing for that.
So tell me a little bit about creativity within the constraints of, again, high volume, right? Because, you can use gold dust and leaves and flakes all you want when you're doing 6 desserts, right? But now we're talking about hundreds of desserts. So tell me a little bit about how's that process for you to innovate while, making sure that you're sticking to those brand guidelines and also cost consideration, which I know it's not the sexiest thing to talk about, but like we have to make something incredible, unbelievable,
Make money out of it.
and yeah, and it be consistently executed and not a profit.
Right. So yeah, that's the reason, within our concepts, we've got a range of, like let's talk about Turner's Cut. Like, that's one of the most opulent and luxurious restaurant we have within our company. So, and it's obviously not that high volume. It's probably 100-seater restaurant. So
Okay.
we can obviously be more creative in the desserts there, and have a little bit of more components when it comes to plating and that kind of stuff. But when you talk about when you talk about BNB Butchers, we feed 700 people every day there.
God, it's
So
like
yeah.
it really is like an institution.
Yeah. So for a restaurant like that, people have been going there for a decade, and all they want is the chocolate cake there, which they've been eating from last 10 years. All they want is a bread pudding there, which they've been eating from last 10 years. So my main role in that kind of a restaurant is how we can improvise and how we can make those things better, but at the same time not take the soul out of those desserts.
Right.
So
Well, yeah, 'cause that took some time to develop for people to, sort of fall in love with.
mhm,
Um, it's interesting, right? I feel like some of us just want to change things all the time,
right.
right? And some of us some people or some chefs are a little bit more conservative, if you will. They're like scared, like, oh my God, we can't remove, the bread pudding from the menu. We sold 700, last month.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think there's probably two schools of thought on that. Like there's the well, people buy what you put in the menu. So if you have bread pudding, you sell bread pudding. If you have
Yep.
whatever cheesecake, you sell cheesecake. And then there's the oh no, but people are obsessed with this product. You can't really take it off. What do you think you're leaning more towards?
I am definitely a person who likes to change. When I was at Musafir, I used to change my pastry menu every 3 months. And that's the culture I've been trying to bring in here. But again, as I said, all of our concepts are so different. So some of our concepts, I want to stick to the roots and still have the same desserts. but like the newer ones, like Soy Cowboy up in Arlington, we've been changing menus there. Turner's Cut, we incorporate a lot of specials every other week and stuff like that. Even Prime 131, that's the restaurant where I have my R&D kitchen as well. So I can obviously, whatever I taste, I can just send it out to desserts, those desserts to people.
Will you help me like sort of explain to people what, or in your vision, what's the importance of pastry, bread and pastry, in specifically the restaurant sort of experience, right?
Well, pastry and obviously bread is like a stepbrother to pastry, but um, I would say it's a component which is going to bring goodwill to the restaurant. It's not something which is going to build the bank. You're going to obviously make money on your steaks and proteins and drinks. And
You don't think we make money selling bread?
no,
Are you
you're
serious?
you are- uh, you're
We better make
yeah,
money selling bread.
you're selling bread to almost half of Houston right now, so
Oh, thank you.
you have to make money, obviously. But what I'm trying to tell you is from percentage point of view, sales from bread and desserts is not as much as compared to beverages and proteins and entrees. So obviously, but that is something where we can be more creative, and that is something where we can put art on the plate, and that's the last impression a guest would take from the restaurant. So
That's exactly. I want to double click on that because I have this belief that bread is the thing that you get when you're starving,
right,
right? When you have this perception of like, you really just want, you don't want to wait for food. You wish food was waiting for you, and really, bread is the thing that you can get, that sort of mitigates the wait. So, in that department, I think bread is huge. Like it really can make an experience if you show up, you're starving, and then there's this very unique, oh, I hope warm, incredible bread. Oh my god, that's like game changer. But then dessert comes when you're no longer hungry,
yeah,
and more than likely, it's the thing that you will remember. So that's very special. I like that you said it's something that people that we do for goodwill.
yeah. And that's, as I said, that's the last impression people would take home with them, and bread is the first impression which is they're gonna get from the restaurant. So both of them have to be stellar. And as you mentioned, now I want to double click on what you said, that people are not hungry and they still want a dessert. So how can, you know, it's what?
I always start with dessert, dude. I know I'm a weirdo
So
like
am I.
that.
So am I. So am
When I know the dessert is good, I'm like, I'm gonna get it first, just in
I.
case.
I don't know if you saw day before when we went out for lunch. I started with the French toast.
We started with the French toast. Yep.
Yep. Um, but yeah, so you know nowadays where the world is changing, they want smaller portions, like we call it the Ozempic effect now. So
Hey, Ozempic, you can also sponsor us.
yeah. So, obviously people want smaller portions. It's not the time where they want, really big portion of desserts and stuff like that. But at the same time, they want a
Yeah,
sweet.
they want something exciting, well executed. Would you say is fresh? Maybe,
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, obviously, decadent desserts have
right.
uh, a place there. But okay, so let's also talk about something that I'm very fascinated about, which is, how like people think, oh, if I cook really good, and I can cook, then thereby I'm a chef, and I think that's very cute. But then we're talking about all the other, hats that you get to wear when you're a chef, and then when you get to this corporate, world, now we're talking about you have to have business knowledge, right? It's not nice to have. It's like you're expected to understand budgeting, forecasting, inventory management, profitability, opening inventory, ending inventory, like
Yep.
all this kind of stuff, labor modeling. So tell me a little bit about how do you get involved into this sort of business aspect, right? If this something, maybe that's something that you're working on, and how important you think this is for somebody's culinary career.
Well, I mean, it's really important. I get it. Creativity is just one part of a chef, but at the same time, you need to know all of these things. And I've learned that tremendously after joining Berg Hospitality, because these people are hardcore when it comes to numbers. They know how to get restaurants right, and they know how to get restaurants profitable. So I've been learning a lot from them. And at this point, I get it. These corporate folks, including myself, we're orchestrators at some point. We're just orchestrating a business model.
So just give us like a little knowledge pill, right? Let's say you're going out of culinary school. This is your first pastry program you're putting together, what theoretical, and if you guys don't know that at home, I'll explain, but like, what theoretical cost should somebody be aiming for?
Again, concepts to concepts. In an ideal world, one shouldn't be aiming for more than 25%. You
Right.
know, but
That's
yeah,
not you, Mr. Steakhouse. We're talking about the desserts.
yeah. Um, but yeah, in a couple of steakhouses, costs are always a little bit higher. But that way, you can obviously um, compensate that through your labor model.
Yeah, one of the things that we have to juggle with is making sure that we either create products that are high food cost, low labor,
Mm-hmm.
or high labor, low food cost. If you're
Yeah,
doing high both, you really aren't doing much.
yeah. So it depends from concepts to concepts. But yeah, aim at 25% and you'll be fine, in my opinion.
So that's very interesting. So yeah, not only you have to be creative, you have to stay relevant, but you also want to align your culinary goals with business objectives. And
Right.
I really can't stress that enough. I don't think that's something that's uh, taught enough in school.
Yeah, it's not taught at all, in my opinion. Yeah. You I mean, you learn it on the job, to be very honest. And as you grow up the ladder, you realize the importance of it. And yeah,
Let's see. So give us your opinion about the importance of mentoring. Because I know mentoring, I mean, at least for me, it's been huge. I can't imagine uh, not, I don't know if being or acting like an adult the way I do, if it wasn't for some of the people that, have really set me up for success, like Chris Tripoli and such,
yeah.
like,
Mm,
adults in
yeah.
my life that have mentored me and just groomed me, to this man that I am today. So tell me a little bit about, what's your experience with mentorship and how important you think that is?
It's really important. And currently, I would say we're in a phase where we're being mentored, and at the same time, we are mentors of younger generation as well, of budding chefs and
Very
people.
true.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we're like sandwich right now. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah. um. So yeah, mentoring is really important. And it's like I've got pastry chefs in all of our concepts, and it's really important to mentor them, coach them. Obviously, they have to be aligned with my vision, and I have to be aligned with the company's vision. So
Right.
the thing has to flow down equally, and obviously in a perfect harmony. That way, we have that chain reaction. So mentoring is very important.
I think it's like it's almost better than school, if you will. Like it would take somebody probably 100 years to figure out how to make a perfect croissant, right?
Oh yeah,
On by themselves. And obviously there's things like YouTube and stuff that, like you guys are probably watching this on YouTube. So this is also mentoring,
yeah,
right?
it is.
And the only reason why at least I was able to make, this product in such a short amount of time is because of mentoring.
Right.
Because I have a lot of friends,
Mm.
consultants, YouTube. Gosh, it's just a really cool time, to be in business.
So same thing goes for me. I've been mentored by one of the best people in the industry, and that's the reason I'm able to, create the desserts which you all know, especially the Houston community. So to go a little bit back in history and my career phase, I obviously started in India. I did my schooling from Institute of Hotel Management, my culinary thing, and then I enrolled with Taj Group of Hotels as a management trainee. I don't know if you're aware of Taj Group of Hotels. It is one of the biggest hotel companies in India.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have currently 180 ultra luxury hotels
Wow.
in the world, and they want to reach 300 by end of 2030. So it's one of the biggest hotel companies, bottom line. So I started with them, worked with them for about 6 years. Then I went to Europe for about a couple of years to,
Where were you in Europe?
well, I was in four different countries. I went to France in Alain
Sure.
Ducasse Education to learn all the classical French pastries. Then I went to Make 3 Academy in Italy to learn the art of gelatos, ice creams, and semifreddos and all the frozen desserts. Um, then I went to Sosa Academy in Spain to learn the art of
Yeah.
molecular gastronomy.
Tell us a little bit about that. I don't think people understand what that is.
Yeah. And then yeah, the final chapter was in Belgium. I went to Calibou Chocolate Academy to learn chocolate science. But yeah, as you mentioned, molecular gastronomy, um, you know, it was back when molecular gastronomy was a big thing. In my opinion, it's getting obsolete now. And
I don't know if it's getting obsolete or if it's going to the place where it probably should have always been, which is a subtle sort of back of the house place. I never really thought that we needed to bring that detailed explanation of how things are done to the to the front of the house, to the diner, to the customer. Like back then, like, I don't know, just say 2009 maybe. Like restaurant menus will say 72-hour sous vide,
yep,
beef cheek. Okay, bro. What about tender beef cheek?
yep,
Do you
hmm,
know what I mean? Like,
yep. You know,
like yeah, our grandmas didn't used to say, this black beans were tenderized in a pressure cooker. Like, okay, that's like for you to know. And I don't know that it's going away. I think it's maybe becoming more mainstream, some of the techniques, but I guess they're just becoming normal.
it was always normal. We all made molecular gastronomy such a big thing. As you mentioned, our grandmas have been doing it since ages,
Right.
but we never realized it. The moment you put salt on onion, there's a molecular gastronomy thing happening. There's a
Correct.
chemical reaction happening.
Correct.
That's what these chemicals are doing. It's obviously extracted and they come to us in powders now, but they've been doing molecular gastronomy as well. They just didn't know the term. So at some point, we all made a big deal out of it, and obviously, some of the restaurants they totally thrived on it. But in where we are right now, I it's totally true that it's essential element in most of our restaurants.
Yeah,
But
right. Like you make an emulsion over here, you make a gel over there, you make a phone over here, but nobody's like
yeah,
over sort of stating it,
yeah,
if you will.
because when you overstate in it, half of the time you don't prioritize the taste and quality of your product. At some point,
Right. Which technique should be only in the service of flavor,
right?
right?
Yeah, huh?
Chef, I know you since I think 2017.
Yes, sir. You were the first person I met after I came to the United States.
God, that's crazy. I can't believe you didn't turn around and just go right back.
Obviously, you took me to Twin Peaks.
Oh God. Twin Peaks sponsor us, not. That's a great pastry program over there at Twin Peaks if you guys haven't paid. Hey, but I know you since 2017, but people don't know you that well, at least the people that listen to this pod. So let's get to know you fast and unfiltered. So this is like a rapid fire section. Are you ready?
I'm just not good at
You're
this.
not?
I'm not good at it, but yeah, go ahead.
I love this. So you're a croissant or an eclair person?
Croissant.
Hmm. Favorite dessert to make?
Favorite dessert to make? Brownie.
Brownie.
I like to eat that.
You like to eat
Yeah.
brownie.
I'm
That
a
was the
simple,
next question. You kind of ruined it.
I'm a simple guy when it comes to desserts. When I want to eat for myself, I'm a really simple guy.
So the one that your favorite to make is the same favorite to eat.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. Okay. What do you think is the most overrated pastry?
Ah, most overrated pastry. Wow.
And I truly don't think it's gulab jamun. I'm just saying.
It's definitely not. I like it. It's one of the
Is
best pastries, gulab jamun.
absolutely.
But most overrated pastries, you gotta give me a couple of minutes for that.
Hmm.
Never thought of that.
I'm gonna say I I think it's biscotti.
Yeah, I'm gonna second you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Cool. What is a guilty pleasure snack for, you know, celebrity chef like you? What's a guilty pleasure snack? What's something that you eat that you kind of wish people didn't know you enjoy eating?
Yeah, I mean, I like hazelnuts and chocolate. So, like, something with ginger chocolate, maybe a ginger chocolate eclair or something of that sort. Yeah.
You're saying that you would inhale a tub of Nutella
Any day, man.
any day.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty shameful. So that's okay.
Yeah. Well, you can tell by looking at me.
I love that. What's your favorite kitchen tool? I know you're gonna get a kick out of this one because you like your
Thermomix.
Thermomix.
Please
People don't
sponsor it.
know. People don't know what Thermomixes are. And you know what's interesting? People think I know how to cook, and it's not that. It's like I have Chef Saida, in my life, and I also have a Thermomix.
I love that equipment to that. And a lot of chefs think as if they're gonna be handicapped if they start using equipments like that. And I'm proud to say that I'm handicapped with Thermomix. But at the same time, if it makes my life easy, why not?
I'm proud to say I'm handicapped because of Thermomix,
I
and
don't.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, I don't want to make a creme anglaise, in a pot anymore, because I don't want to stick a thermometer in there. I just want to put ingredients in that bowl and just forget about it. So why not? If it's making my life easy and it's helping the business, why not?
I'm obsessed with Thermomix, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna second you on that one. Um, so for breakfast, people are very particular about their breakfast traditions. Are you a sweet or savory breakfast guy?
Savory.
What do you like for breakfast?
What do I like for breakfast? Anything with eggs.
Anything with eggs? Cool. So you're willing to pay $35 for breakfast now?
Hell yeah. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, we were talking about egg prices in the previous pod, but we decided we're gonna keep it a little bit more mellow.
Mhm.
People don't like this harsh news anymore, so don't worry about eggs, y'all. It's gonna be fine. Okay. So what is one pastry trend that needs to disappear? Oh, we have spicy producers back there.
Okay. So one pastry trend which needs to disappear. Yes, I am.
I have so many thoughts right now.
I am a partial advocate of molecular gastronomy, but at the same time, when people make foams out of everything, foams and airs out of everything, and when it doesn't make sense, there's no point to have it on the plate. So
So you really don't think a brownie air makes sense?
no, not at all.
No, no, no. Okay.
A brownie is known for its rich and decadent texture. Why would you want to ruin it in form of an air?
I love that. Okay, so what do you think is the best city? And God, I was looking at the news today. I can't remember the pastry cup that just happened in Lyon.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, thank you. Oh God, that's
Oh
what I
man, you're
love.
fast, man.
Well, one phrase that I'll steal from Scott Galloway, which is a professor at NYU, and I really support like his work is awesome. He always says greatness is in the agency of others, and that's so true. Like I honestly am not as good, but I just have awesome, awesome people that I work with, and so that's why this glass is full. Cheers again.
Cheers again.
That's like really cool thing about Mexican culture. I don't know if you knew this. In Venezuela, you can only make one toast at the beginning of the evening, and that's it. And if you make another one or attempt to make another one, then you're the drunk one.
Okay.
In Mexico, you every time you feel grateful for something, cheers, woo, cheers. So that's there you go. What do you think? It's the best city for pastry innovation, and I'm gonna tie that back to that competition because I think I know what you're gonna say.
Paris.
Mm. It's funny you say Paris. I think Paris is the best city for pastry tradition, technique, sort of like that language, right? That we all um, needed to learn. But then I see Japan,
Oh yeah.
and Japan be kicking ass, dude. Like it's incredible. These guys are just able to produce French pastries like if they were Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I didn't say Japan, obviously I've been researching about it, but I haven't been there myself. It's on my list for this year, so maybe I'll change my answer if you have me here next year. But I really haven't explored Japan by myself. So
Do you know one of our favorite pastry chefs, and I say our favorite pastry chefs, his name is Frederic.
Mhm.
Frederic, Uncle Fred.
Uncle Fred.
He's kind of like everybody's uncle in Houston's pastry scene. And one thing I love about Fred, besides everything, it's like his household cultural setup. So his house is half French and half Japanese, and I just think that's probably the best setup you can ever have
Yeah.
if you're trying to, be in the pastry world. And so I keep telling him he needs to open the Frappanese Cafe. We talked about it. Do you remember what was the first pastry you ever baked?
The first pastry I ever baked was an eclair, because that was something which was taught to us in school. So
Did it look like an eclair or a pancake?
it looked like a sponge cake. Yeah.
God, I love this. This is awesome.
And the second pastry I made was a chocolate mousse, which was hard as rock.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What was that? Oh, just fat? Too much fat? Too much what was that? Too much chocolate.
Too much chocolate and too much gelatin, which there's no
Maybe
need
was
to
it
put gelatin.
necessary? Yeah, right.
But back then I just didn't know.
Well, yeah, it's hard to listen to your gut when you're young because you don't have a gut to listen to.
Even now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I get that. Chef, so, sometimes it's hard for us to kind of acknowledge how far we've come. We've come a long way. And I think it's only uh, fair that we, you know, use the stage, use these opportunities that we have to encourage, younger chefs even though we're super young. But there are people that are younger than us, believe it or not. How do we? What would you like to say to younger chefs to be able to embrace what they love, which is their passion for pastry, and also maybe talk a little bit about like I remember this feeling of like I am just not creative, and how come I'm not creative, and how can I become creative? So it's like how do we help them understand that hey, you're on the right track. Hey, have some faith. Be disciplined, be consistent, and this is why you're not creative yet.
Well, my tip to them would be that, obviously, that goes without saying that they have to get their basics right and they need to know, what the basics are. But at the same time, uh, be well versed with what's going on in the industry, what's the modern trends going on, and, be, up to date with what's going on in the world in the industry. So, even we do it, till date, like la- last year I was a part of World Chocolate Masters selection. So I went to Montreal. So obviously I learned a lot there, and I saw a lot of young pastry chefs there, who I could learn from. So, and vice versa.
So it's like a combination of like learn the basics, right? Learn the language so you can speak it.
Right.
Uh, I think if I can kind of dissect a little bit what you said, is also like invest in eating good stuff, right? Like if you want to learn about pastry, like go to incredible pastry destination and like eat that stuff. If you're eating, the apple pies at the drive-through, you probably are not gonna be,
Yeah.
making some like world-class pastry program.
Right.
And and that's one that I also had to learn. Like it takes experience and just a lot of knowledge to become creative. You will not be creative until you have a really solid foundation.
Very true. Yeah.
So if you feel like you're not creative, it's not that you're not creative; it's that you're not creative yet.
Hmm. Or maybe you're not with the right set of guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Chef, this has been like the fastest 30 minutes of this year. This has been awesome.
I
Thank you
know.
for coming. But we're not letting you go just yet because we have a good old tradition here at Love Story. So first of all, you're going to answer a question that you're normally not going to know who, you know, created this question for you. But I don't like to say name, but this was a creeper.
And I'm pretty sure if it was Kripa, it's going to be a nasty question. But
It's going to be a sweet question.
okay.
Don't you worry. So from our anonymous previous guest, Kripa, what is the thing that annoys you the most about your staff?
Wow. Um. Well, if since you're asking me this question today, I would say I. I mean, I've just struggled with this one today itself. When people leave without any notice, especially uh, if anybody offers them a couple of bucks extra, they were gonna leave. So
You're saying you have people that like leave?
yeah, man, all the time.
God, that's interesting. That's never happened to me.
Maybe yeah,
Okay.
maybe I'm a bad chef to work for.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But honestly, that's a great question. That was a great question. I feel you.
Yeah.
But okay, so all sweetness aside, we need to put together a question for our next very celebrated guest. You don't know who this person is,
I wish I knew.
but I'm sure they're gonna be excited to hear your question. So, would you give us a question for them?
All right, let me think. What can we get? So what's your take on I would want to say, what's your take on fusion cuisine, the word fusion, and people like to use this word a lot. I am personally a hater of this word, you know, just because in my opinion it's more of a confusion, but I want to definitely know your opinion on that.
Oh, that's exciting. Let's see what the next guest thinks about confusion.
Yeah,
Chef, you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 32.
You're 32. You're an old fart now.
Yeah.
So if you were in front of 18-year-old Ruchi,
Hmm.
just for a couple minutes, what would you tell him?
Get serious in life.
Get your shit together.
Yeah. I obviously chose better words, but yeah, get your shit together.
Get your act together.
Yes.
Sorry. This is internet, bro.
Oh,
Nobody's watching anyway.
well,
Unless, hey, if you guys are watching this at home, please don't share this with anybody. Just keep it to yourself.
and hell, we are inviting people to watch this. What are you talking about here?
We're getting a little bit of a mixed message here. Hey, one thing that's happened new in this part is that we started drinking, and I honestly think it's the best thing we could have done.
Hmm?
So, Chef, thank you so much for coming, bro.
Well, thank you for
Cheers.
having me.
What a
Cheers.
treat.
Cheers.
melt and it's a tasty sight. Warm and soft from the baker's hands. Start the day with tasty plans. Rise and shine, it's croissant time. Fluffy dreams in every bite. Butter love is so, so fine. Morning's here and feels just right. Coffee sips and a pastry crunch. Every bite a perfect munch. Simple joys on a silver plate. Happiness can't wait. Rise and shine, it's croissant time.